Look. Kitku. Kitku down there. Last time he didn't stay with us all the way through because of the shouting. Let's try not to shout this time round, okay? Everyone calm down. Is this on properly? That appears to be on properly. Hello everyone in the chat. Hello Devil Lord Yuan Thunder. Devil Lord again. Epic though Tan. Mr. Potato Bat and the Hobo. How's the sound? How's the things? We are not talking. Is the sound okay, guys? Guys? Touch quiet. It's a touch quiet. It's a touch quiet. Hey, hi, hey. It's a touch quiet. Make it louder. What if I put it closer to my face? That's probably not. That's not good. That's a bit too close to my face. A little bit close to the face. I have a smaller box. Not that big box. We'll use this box. That should be a little bit quiet. I got the book on Audible. We're not talking about that book. This is a spoiler-free zone. We're not talking about that book in any way, shape, or form. The sound should be okay on there. It's bouncing all the way to... Am I shouting now? Guys, it's quiet. It's better. You don't need to shout. My bad. Evening, high evening. Erebus did plenty wrong. We're not talking about that book. Heresy good. It is very good. We're not talking about the book. It's in the title. Sounds perfect. Thank you. Come on, guys. Sound is good. Sound is good. Sound is better now. Wolf Boot, Hobo, Jackuswood, The Average Knight, Andy Hates, Shown True. That's better. It's all good. We're all good. This is a spoiler-free zone. We're not talking about the book. We're not mentioning the book. We're not looking at the book. I cried. Okay? Well, I didn't cry. You cried. I didn't cry. You cried. A couple of times. But we're not talking about it. It's over. Surely there's going to be more. Mug Crew represent. Hello, Mug Crew. Everyone in the Mug Club. If there's anyone in the Mug Club, raise your hands. One more mug. One person joined us in the Mug Club this last week. We're now to 38 of these bad boys running around in the wild, trying to make their way in the world. It's yes. Cheers to the Mug Club, and thank you to everyone who's bought an item of Winter's SEO merch. It's a great way to support me. Not as great as becoming a channel member. Thank you to everyone who chooses to help me that way by becoming channel members. Really appreciate you. And if you're a tier 3 channel member, you get an extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday. And tomorrow I'm doing a thing. The Hobo's been a member for 13 months, 1 year, and we need a rematch Winters. And I have one of them mugs. Okay, thank you for your 13 months. You are in the Mug Club. We do need a rematch. Hit me up in the Discord. We'll sort something out. I'm kind of full until about June now. Yeah. Oh, dear. What was I going to say? Evenings, Woodsy. Nice to see you. You're not late. Mr. Potato Bug Jiggles the most from time to find. Hi, Charles in the colony. We've got loads of people here in the chat this evening. Good. The only thing I want to ask about the book, the one thing I want to ask about the book, is there anyone in the chat who's finished the book? 1 in the chat if you've finished the book, 2 in the chats if you're currently reading or listening to the book. Don't mention anything else. Just 1s if you finished, 2s if you've read it. Let's find out. I mean, it came out. It's the end of the Horus Heresy. It'd be interesting to see how much 2 is reading. Yeah, okay, 2s. We're at 2s. This is why it's a spoiler. 2s nearly 1s, not started. This is why this is a spoiler-free zone. We're not going to spoil that book. We've got a 3. My comment did not really have any spoilers. Yeah, no, we're not talking about that book. The question, well, you don't have one, but you can get it on Audible or on Kindle. I got a lot of books down there, but I started Kindling a while ago because it's just easier to take them on holiday, like a Kindle rather than 28 books, you know. So we have some 2s. We have 1. We don't have a 1. There's no 1s here. So no one's actually... You're still on Warhawk. Minto, I wish I was still on Warhawk. Warhawk is an awesome book. And if I was still on Warhawk, that means it wouldn't be over. Surely it's not over. Surely there's going to be more books. Surely there's going to be epilogues. Surely they're going to continue with that. Surely. So we're not spoiling any of that. The question is... At some point, like next week, do you want me to talk about the book then? How long 1 week, 2 weeks. I'm sure there'll be some people in the chat would like to get my thoughts, feedbacks, things like that. When is too soon to talk about it? Bring on the scouring, indeed. Well, the scouring lasts for a very long time. There's got to be. Come on now. What about Caliban? What about? There's got to be some epilogue stuff. Rumors about the scouring are already out there. Well, the Heresy's been so. I mean, yeah, there's kind of got to do some. I mean, not 100 books. Say they did a scouring and it was like 8 books or something to help tidy up everything. Yes, exactly. Like the Iron Cage or Caliban. Those are 2 stories that are largely unresolved at the end of the Heresy. They happen after the Heresy, right? Something about the Inquisition could be done, and something about where something Throne World-esque, you know? We're not talking about the book. Don't ask me my favorite chapter. We're not talking the book. What do you mean? Which book aren't we talking about? The book, the only book, the end of the Death was released on Saturday. You're playing with me, right? Anyway, finish that book, which we are not talking about. We're not talking about it. What we can talk about instead is the Balance Dataslate, which came out at 4:30 today. I printed out copies in case people wanted to talk about it. I've got my phone next to me with all the new points in. We can talk about the Balance Dataslate. I just don't want it to be another 50 book spoke. Yeah, 10 books on the scouring would be great. Your Blood Angels list took a 170 point increase. Didn't they get a buff though, the Blood Angels? Like when they charge now, at the end of the phase, they add 2 to the strengths and add 1 to the attacks characteristic. That's better than it was before, right? How can you feel a channel member you feel left out? Okay, at the top of the YouTube thing, when you go to the YouTubes, along the top it will say about, playlists, videos, thingy, but there'll be one on there, something up there which says members. Click on that. And you too could become a channel member. And thank you to all the channel members who choose to help support me that way. I really appreciate you. Hello, Adam San. Hello. How we doing? Yeah, Blood Angels list took a 170 point increase. That's a pretty big increase. Dark Angels points drop across the board. Shocker. If you use the detachment, yes, I suppose. Your average painter's just gifted 5 members. Thank you, your average painter, for gifting 5 memberships. Legend. Thank you. Big cheer in the chat. Thumbs up, hands, warm hands, applause, hearts in the chat or something. Do something in the chat for the average painter. Thank you for the gifted memberships. And if you've been gifted a membership, that unlocks tier 2 membership, which means the Discord. You can come join us in the Discord. Come join our wonderful community for £1 more. You can become a tier 3 channel member, get an extra battle report every single Winter's Wednesday. Tyrannofex and Screamer Killer became cheaper. T-Fexes were a bit overpointed, I think, except for the Acid Spray one. He's really good. Anything good for AdMech? Nothing good for AdMech in this edition or the last. Your Blood Angels list is up 55 points. So we've got up for the Blood Angels. 55 points and 170 points. Thank you. Thanks for the cheer. Have you read every Heresy book? Yes, I have. I've read all the books more than once. And the first few books many times, about 6 times. And I'm currently going through the whole of Heresy on Audible, which is something that I never did before. And I'm up to Betrayer now. Yeah, so I've done the books. I love the books. It is the greatest book series of all time after Lord of the Rings. Mind you, Lord of the Rings is just one book, right? Scouts, Inceptors, Redemptor, Whirlwind, literally all the good stuff. Okay, so Scouts went up. Did the Redemptor Dreadnought go up again? My Craftword list is up 100 points, but I deserve it. Indeed you do. And you only roll 6 dice now for the Eldar thing, right? The Eldar thing. Strands of Fate rolling 6d6 at the start of the game. It went up 10 points. Redemptor Dreadnought went up 10 points. Seriously? Points. It's up to 210 points. You know, when it started this edition, it was like 120 points for Redemptor Dreadnought. And it's gone up 10 again. That's a lot of points. Redemptor Dreadnought. I like the fact that on the thing now, like on the upgrade. Look, they put the red one so you know they've gone up, aggressors have gone up, and then assault intercessor squad, they put a green so you know what's gone up and what's gone down, you know. That's a way of doing it. Redemptor Dreadnought went up another 10 points. So it started off 120 points at the start of this edition. It's gone up to 210. How wrong were they? That's nearly double the points cost at the start of the edition. Oh dear. D6 hurts. In Minto, look, I know 6 dice for your fate dice hurts, but they got nerfed once, they got nerfed twice, they got nerfed 3 times with points, and they're still winning everything. Now they got nerfed again because your Wraith Guard got a bit of a nerf and the Night Spinner got off a bit of a nerf. And now we've got 6 dice instead of 12 dice. Maybe after 6 months they'll lose a tournament. Maybe. And maybe they'll Whirlwind up 35 points. I don't rate the Whirlwind that much, you know. Inceptors 20 points, Scouts 10, Evening, Sullivan Gilbert, thanks for jumping in. 1, but you listened to a podcast that gave all the spoilers. You shouldn't do that. I also read the end. Yeah, there was a few spoilers about the book that we're not talking about, which went up on the internet, which I diligently avoided, and will avoid. I don't, but at least, you know, we haven't had the video yet, which says this is what happened on the title screen. That spoils it for everyone yet. Someone will do that though. Yeah, the colours are a nice touch. Screws over, I don't know what that means. Did GW post the balance changes on Warhammer community? Yes, the balance data sheet slate thing is now up. If you put in balance data slate in your Google thing, you can find the balance data slate, and the new points changes are now up. They came out about 4:30 today. I've been sitting on them for a while because the battle reports that I make need to make sure that by the time they come out actually represent the points, accurate points value. And one thing that Games Workshop have done quite well this edition, which they weren't doing very well in previous editions, were like giving people who actually make battle reports like the points changes like 2 days before the points changes is no good. We need them like away in advance. But they've been pretty good at that. Magnets, what are you talking about? Charles says, I hate the ending, ruins. Look, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. We're not talking about whether you hate it, whether you like it, whether we're not talking about it at all. Not in this one, which, okay, let's talk about when we can talk about the book. Evening, Sam. When can we talk about the book? Is next week too early to talk about the book, chat? We already did the thing earlier on, and no one said they'd finished it yet. A bunch of you said they were still partly through it. So thank you for taking time out to listen to this live stream rather than actually listen to the book. I would highly recommend going and listen to the book instead. Will you at least tell us if you like the book? Not yet. I'm not going to talk. I don't want to say. Look, I can say that I like all the Horus Heresy except for I liked all the solo. All of the books are good. All of the Heresy is good except for Furious Abyss, Damnation of Pythos, Slaves to Darkness. You finished it yesterday. No, we're not chatting about it now. Average Paramedic. We're not. But when your King of the North list went down 150 points, like a week late, look, when can we talk about it? Is next week okay, or is the week after that okay? Or am I coming back on Thursday to talk about the end of the death? Is Thursday too soon? Or Friday or something? Or tomorrow? Or should it just be next? I should do a spoiler talk. I don't know though. There's a lot of people just reading Warhawk or reading something else. They're not actually at the... I don't think. We're not talking about the book. I'm only Horus Rising. Give me 2 years. Exactly. You see? I wish I was on Horus Rising. I wish I was at the start again. Thursday should be enough time to read. Yeah, it should be. Maybe at midnight on Thursday. I don't know when. I want to talk about it. The thing is, I want to talk about it, but I can't talk about it. Hi, Killer Kriegsman. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. So we're not talking about the book. Can we move on? can't get past book 2 because I like my loyalist. Yeah, I know. That's earlier on in the book. Like loyalist Horus at the start, Horus Rising. He's a G. There's a reason why he's the War Master, right? He's charming as well as intelligent. You're on First Heretic, great book. First Heretic, great book. I love the bit towards the end where they go back to Isfahan 5. Fantastic stuff. ADB knocks that one out of the park. Just shout spoiler alert. So yes. I feel like can we move on? If anyone else comes into the chat and starts chatting about the book, remember we're not talking about the book. If you could remind them that we're not talking about the book, okay? So if people pop up and go, hey, the book, what about this? No. And you still haven't answered the question. When do I need to talk about the book? Next week? Next year? Next month? I want to talk about it. Should it be next week? Should it be next week? Probably next week or the week after that. I don't know. I might just talk about it next week. I can't sit on it that long. Ha 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 ha. I mean, nothing but booking it and game. I did a couple of games at the weekend. I built some more stuff and things. Look, another big chunky thing. I finished him off today while finishing off that book. And over the weekend, can you really spoil 35-year-old? You can spoil 35. March is a good time to talk about the book, because March is like 2 days away. I'll see what you did. No, actually, it's February next month. March is 2 days and a month away. 2044. We're not talking about the book. Yeah, a lovely robot. And I added some Thalax as well. And at the weekend, the boys came round. Stylus, Sultan, Monkey came over. And they played 2 games of fantasy. And I filmed the 2 games of fantasy. It was a bit of a... Let's just say it was very exciting with 4 of us in a sweaty room together, throwing dice and rediscovering this game system. I say rediscovering the game system. Stylus never really left it. And it's got many fantasy armies. And had already played like 4 games of the new edition. So by the time he turned up, I managed to get some nice footage about Warhammer Fantasy, which I want to stick up on the channel. Don't know when that's coming. It's still on the phone next door. I haven't even downloaded it onto the computer now. Book now, please. No. No book now, please. No. Not now. There's too many people. Too many people who've not read it yet. Let's just say it's a good book. I like the End of the Death Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I like them all. And as I said in previous live streams, I'd be happy for there to be Part 4, Part 5, Part 6. I don't want it to end. But no book. Solex Laser, you should paint in gold. Well, I've got 2 of the big, look. So when I stuck him together, I had the other one with me because I got 2 of these guys. And then the idea is, I get 2 of these guys. This one isn't finished yet. He's sort of like hanging. That leg is still wobbly. I shouldn't have picked him up. Oh no. So I've got 2 of those guys coming. The idea is that I can field a list if I want to, with 2 of these and 2 of the Solix Laz guys, but that's like 900 points. So I don't know if they'll come out to play very often, all 4 of them. So you put them along with the side, but that's 2, yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. But one or the other was nice. Where are we? Hey, quick question. I'm trying to find a video you produced a year or 2 ago, but I can't. Do you sometimes remove videos? Yes, I have removed some videos this year. There was... every now and then you get loads of copyright claims because of music stuff. It just comes up on YouTube. Like another bot is now looking through. So I've had loads of issues with music on videos, particularly the older videos. So when I get these copyright claims, if they come up for really old videos, I just take down that video rather than contest the claim. Which all the music that I've used in the videos, I've used it within fair use and I've accredited and all that sort of stuff. So we're fine. But you have to do it. You test them, and then a couple of years later, another bot will be installed by someone somewhere, and then you have to contest it. And so I've just started removing the really old ones. So if you can't find one, it's gone. And I have removed, and I don't store anywhere else. That's the thing. We can talk about the Dark Angels Codex. We're not talking about that. We can talk about that one if you want. Um, have you noticed how close the painting is to how I painted Mortarian's Death Guard to the ones you have done by Den of Imagination? I feel rather proud of that. Nice, man. The hobo. I got permission from the wife to get an old world army. It may have cost me a lot of clothes for her. Nice. Save them the trouble of reading the disappointing book. Get over it. You're really disappointed by the book, were you? Get over it. Get it over with. No. In your opinion, it was disappointing. But we're not talking about the book. The Dark Angels Codex won't be out officially for at least a month. So it makes sense the points are based off the index. Really? It's not out for a month? Isn't it in that book, Deathwing, that box, Deathwing Assault? It's in that box. So if you get the Deathwing Assault box, the book is in the thing. Isn't that box out yet? Yeah. A month. Is the Deathwing Assault box out? Speaking of robots, I bought 3 new Cerastus. Nice. Hi, Chris. Thanks for coming back. Welcome back with sisters. Good. Lord Inquisitor Vexes. Hi. But I have my box and book. What's going on? So the box is... Oh, no, it's sold out, right? So no one can get it. The box set Codex is not the official release. It's like Beast Snag is in 9th. It's not official until it's released separately. I imagine all the stuff painted in the book is going to be the same stuff that comes in. They're not doing 2, right? They've updated points for models, which will no longer have rules. Well, it's like, was it the Necrons? The Necron Codex came out 2 days after they changed the points. So if you bought the Necron Codex and you went to the points at the back, the points in the back were no longer the updated points on release. They'd never done this before. A book on release and the points weren't the official updated points. But at least on the back of the books, they put that thing is... Have I got a codex somewhere? They put that thing in the back saying, hey, these might not be... You know, like I've got the Tyranid one. They've got this like disclaimer in the back of the book now, right? Where's the disclaimer? It literally, I mean, this is someone from the marketing department really had a look over these words to make sure that they were... In addition to the points values printed here, which you can always use in agreement with your opponent, the Codex is supported with live online points values so you can enjoy the most balanced and exciting games of Warhammer 40k. And then scan the QR code. So you can use these points in agreement with your opponent, and then the Necron book came out and the points weren't the most balanced. But at least they're saying it there, scan the QR code, and at least they're updating the points rather routinely and rather regularly. I do remember those long dark times in 5th, 6th, 7th edition where the points didn't get upgraded ever. I mean, they did balance data. Well, they didn't do balance Dataslate changes. They used to do facts and erratas and never changed the points for anything. GW should no longer put the points in the Codex. Complete waste of time. It's just a waste of a page. Well, Charles, look, you came to hear my views on the book. Thanks, I know. But on the title, it says, let's talk about the balance date and not talk about that book. So when you see the title that says, now we're going to talk about the book, then you'll hear my views on the book. But we're not talking about that book because I really, really, really don't want to spoil it for the people who are still halfway through, or but I don't want to spoil it. Where can I find the Balance Dataslate? Guys, how do you find it? It's Warhammer Community, right? How do you find the Balance Dataslate? Someone, how about John? If you agree with your opponent first, you can play that something that isn't for you. Of course you can. Don't mention the book. I didn't mention the book. I'm trying not to mention the book. So winners and losers in the Balance Dataslate. Eldar now gets 6 dice, right? So is the balance a good adjustment to Eternal Codex? So is the balance a good adjustment to Eternal Codex? So Balance Dataslate, I liked it. Deals with the problems and helps things that needed it. Same with the updated rules, commentary, and points. Yeah, it was good. Warhammer community page. That's where you find the Balance Dataslate. Go to the Warhammer community page. There's a link. Look, Warhammer community downloads. Warhammer 40k. Second edition had no balance at all. No, first and second edition wasn't designed to be balanced. You did mention the book, Lord Inquisitive X, but you got away with it. You're all right. Why don't they just do the points as a loose sheet of A4? That's true, actually. They could. It could be a loose sheet of A4 in the back of the book, like slots in the thing in the wrap. And then when you get the book and the points are already out of date, you could screw up the piece of U4 and A4 and use it as a barbecue lighter or something like that, you know? Did I have a guard army? I am Bits. Traitor Guard from Den of Imagination Painting Studio. Thank you, Den of Imagination. Greatest painting studio in the Sol system. And you can get those Traitor Guard models by going to their Patreon page. And I've got a few tanks lying around all over the place. You're disappointed the Balance Dataslate didn't do something to address the disparity between several detachments. The Amble Siege Force, 1st Company Task Force, Crusher Stampede are way behind. You're always going to get... So not all detachments are equal, right? You can't have all the detachments at the same power level. It's just math. There's going to be some that are going to be better than others, some that are going to be worse than others. They can't all be... So what you're looking for in a codex is, I want to say 2 or 3. I think 3 would be the perfect number, but 2 is okay. 2 or 3 good, solid detachments that have got some proper teeth in them. And then the remaining detachments... ways to play for people. They don't all need teeth. The fact that there is a 1st Company task force, even though it's a bit shit, is it's nice. The fact that you've got the Destroyer Cult 1 and the Necrons book where you can advance and charge, even though it's a bit crap, it's nice. You need variety in there so different people can play games differently, I think. Make all codexes binders with removable pages. Well, it'd be too expensive, wouldn't it? It would be too expensive. Hi, Inchin. Welcome to the chat. Inchin was in the latest battle report on Sunday. Did you watch it? I love the Balance Slate. Can finally play my Custodes without devastating. Yes, so that's one of the things. Did you guys see that? For devastating wounds for Custodes, you know, when they smashed them into the ground with the last bit, Balance Dataslate, and they were like, oh, we didn't mean to do it that way. Because they changed devastating wounds to no longer do mortal wounds. They do their own thing. And now they've rechanged the change again. I agree with Winters. Thank you, Wraith Rider, rules guy. You like that there's ways to play casual games and a detachment or 2 for competitive. Exactly. A couple of detachments for competitive. And see, the detachments for competitive, the couple of detachments that you think are the competitive ones, might not be the competitive ones in a year's time or 2 years' time, and the ones that you might think are less competitive might be the competitive ones in a couple of years' time as the meta shifts around. Because when you say some detachments aren't as strong as the other, that would be depending on where the meta is, depending on what units are. Rip Deathwatch. What happened to Deathwatch? World Eaters. I know about the World Eaters thing. The World Eaters... They did that. That's once per battle, right? The World Eaters. So what happened to the World Eaters when you say rip World Eaters? I remember writing it down. World Eaters. Where is it? Damn it. Please start. Yeah. Favored of Corn enhancement is now once per battle, right? Is that what you're thinking about? The Favored of Corn thing? But what happened? What happened to the Death Watch? The Death Shroud went down. It did. That was good. Plagueburst Crawlers went up, and I don't understand that one because Death Shroud went down, which is nice. Plagueburst Crawlers going up. It's just crazy. Favored of Corn changed to once per battle. Yes. Instead of smashing that all the time, once per battle. I think that's justified. Is it justified, or do you not think it's justified? It felt very strong, like rolling it again and rolling it again and rolling it again. Mind you, how many World Eaters have actually won any majors anytime soon? You fell out of love with 40k when they did World Eaters dirty with their Codex. Really? Yeah. Okay, I can see where you're coming from, but World Eaters their Codex, their rules, their dice roll. I've gone up against them quite a few times, actually, and Alex SEO, which is my most regular opponent, plays them all the time. And World Eater's quite sing. And you've got a Primarch. Who else has got a Primarch? It's an auto take to get Angron back. So, yes, the Favored of Corn was a thing you needed to take to get Angron back. Now you might not be getting Angron back as much, if at all. And then, yeah. Nothing happened to Deathwatch. Still same old crap. Shite. Okay, so rip Deathwatch because nothing happened to the Deathwatch. World Eaters haven't had a Codex yet. I know. But their index thing is good, right? Have you played against World Eaters, gone up against World Eaters? Even without Angron, okay, maybe not at the competitive level, the super sweaty level. You need Angron and you need the thing, the Favored of Khorne, so you can re-roll the thing to get Angron back. You need the thing that they nerfed, which is now once per battle, to get Angron back if you're playing World Eaters as a competitive thing. If you're not playing them at a competitive thing, and you're just playing them in your meta, playing them at the local game store, playing amongst your friends, and you're playing World Eaters, the rules for the World Eaters with their with the thing where they can get +2 move, where they can advance and charge, where they can get lethal hits, sustained hits, and you can pick any two at any time depending on the dice rolls, feels good. Feels good. And going up against them, they feel very World Eatery is what I'm saying. They feel World Eatery. And sometimes you get codexes and indexes and they don't feel the way the army should feel. A la Grey Knights now has gone from a close combat army to a shooting army. What's all that about? Necrons weren't touched. There'll be monoliths everywhere. There won't be though. It's not the monoliths. It's not the monoliths you need to fear. Monoliths don't fit in at competitive labels on the tables. Monoliths might fit in at your local tournaments and things, or again at your local gaming stuff. Monoliths, it's not the top monoliths you need to fear. It's the one unit deep striking in and out, and just heavy destroyers don't need to deep strike. They can be picked up at the end of the turn and then put back on at the edges of the board to nibble. It is definitely the hypercrypt thing, but monoliths are probably a bit too expensive to play competitively. Sean Beck thought, in the rules commentary, they seem to have nerfed reactive moves after deep strike. Deep striking units count as having already moved for the purposes of moving further, but are actually stationary thoughts. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. That's the way it's pretty much always been in every edition. If you deep striking units count as having already moved. Yeah. Yes. If you deep strike, you've moved. Thoughts. Yes. Movement stratagems can't trigger on their arrival. They seem to have nerfed reactive moves after deep strike. Deep striking units count as having already moved for the purposes of moving further, but are actually stationary. Is that what it says? I've actually moved. Movement stratagems can't. I don't get it. So have they? So 1 minute. They count as. You'll have to. My brain. Someone help me out here. What is the nerf with... moving on. Any changes to the all Citan lists? No. The Citans are all going to be here because Necrons have literally not been touched. 55 points drop on a Tyrannofex. Yes, the Tyrannofexes needed the points drops, except for maybe the Acid Spray one. 55 points, though. I mean, I haven't been through every single point. Has it gone down to 145 points? Whoa, from 200, because the Rupture Cannon guys were terrible. So things like Demolition Charge that go off when a unit finishes its move don't go off when something deep strikes. So stuff that goes off when stuff finishes its move don't go off when something deep strikes. And Overwatch is a movement stratagem, for example. Okay, so what you're saying is the units that come in via deep strike and disembark and do all this stuff count as moving, but they count as already moving. So you can't respond to them with movement stratagems and movement reactions because they've already moved, and then you place them down. That seems neat. Does that need tidying up to say, hey, this has moved, it counts as moving, and then you can do your react? Is this going to be like the Custodes one where they nerf it into the oblivion and they realize, oh, we need to change that so now Custodes can actually have a feel no pain against devastating wounds, otherwise they're utterly useless, and go back to what they did with... So now Custodes have that. It feels like this is something that they're going to need to redo after the redo, right? Overwatch is fine as it also has when set up clause. Nice. Okay, so you can Overwatch with the movement. Grey Knights, Nemesis, Dread Knights are finally summoned with viable. Yes. Hobby Apocalypse Transcendent Katana. What? Okay, good. Right. Huh. Talking and thinking and doing points, things, and brain at the same time is yes. So, is anyone out there pleased with any of these data slate changes? Anyone? Anyone think some of these are a good thing? And which ones are the good things? Let's do this together, chat. Let's talk about the good things. Then we'll go into the bad things. And then we'll talk about some other things. So what are the good data slate changes for the chat, for people watching this video afterwards, for me mainly, for me. What are the good things? Jim, I'm getting into Warhammer, so apologies for the newbie question. But were we all expecting nerfs to Necrons, maybe Eldari? It's all in terms of win rates. New Drukhari detachment is good. Drukhari players are happy. New Drukhari detachment. Right, let's start there. Drukhari, there's a whole new detachment. What new detachment? Oh, the detachment thing. Drukhari players are happy. New Drukhari detachment. I do. Orcs are better now. So Drukhari detachment is good. The new Drukhari seems super legit. What was the new Drukhari thing? Can you remind me of that? Like I said, I read it, but brain. What's the new Drukhari thing? Why can't I find Drukhari on any of my notes? Oh, here. Power from Pain, Archon Leader. What detachment? You're a butthurt. So Drukhari detachment is good. Orcs is better now. Drukhari seems super legit. Butthurt Eldar player who liked playing 40k in easy mode. Yeah, sure. Everything's great, probably. I enjoyed all the Eldar nerfs muchly. So a good thing is Eldar have been nerfed into the ground. Again, this is the 4th time the Eldar have been nerfed into the ground. Without even reading it, on hearing everything about it, I hate it. So the balance data, I haven't read anything, I've heard everything about it, I hate it. Death Dread's down 20 points and Battle Wagon the same. Yeah, Death Dreads needed a drop. Battle Wagons need to go down. I ranted about it on last live stream, didn't I? Like, the only viable way of playing Orcs now is by playing with all the new stuff. And it's always been that way with 40k. They've always favoured the newer stuff and given them better rules, shinier rules than the older stuff. It's always been that way. It's laughable how it's always been that way. But in this edition, it's way in that way, particularly with orcs. It's particularly with orcs. It's really hard to build an orc detachment without putting in the space hoppers and the squiggy boys and the killer rigs. It's really hard to build a detachment without them in and actually win. It's like you need them in because of the feel no pain stuff. There was a separate Drukhari PDF download. Thank you, Tabletop Tom, for sorting that out because I didn't download the Drukhari PDF download. I didn't. So thanks for letting me know. I know there was a data. Are there any separate PDFs that people need to know about? Because there's a separate one. Is there? Blood Angels extra strength will be fun. Yep, extra 2 strength and extra 1 attack on the charge. They needed it, to be fair, because Blood Angels weren't doing very well. Drukhari are basically a full different detachment using useful new strats, some usable new enhancements. Nice. It's like the WTC and ITC guys who help write these things have got a bunch of Drukhari players that really like them, so they've upped them quite a bit. Ah, dear. Just go back into the hobby since a hiatus starting in the mid-90s. Watching your battle reports has helped me learn up on the new game. Thanks. Yeah. Watching battle reports before I did the YouTube helped me. One of the reasons why I started watching the YouTubes at the very start before I even started making YouTubes myself was back in 5th, 6th edition and YouTube, we had 10-minute battle report videos then, really short. It's like I'd never seen demons because they weren't in my meta. I'd never seen any Drukhari at the time, weren't in my meta. So I started watching other things on YouTube to give me an idea of what the other things did at least. So when we went away to tournaments, I had some idea. Yeah, a lot of people use it to learn the things. So yeah, I'm just glad I can play my Dark Angels Knights for a while longer until they get nerfed by the Codex. Nice. Skari bribed them. I know, man. It's Skari basically turned around to them and said, give me new stuff with Drakari. He knows all the guys. He knows all the guys involved with all the rules. I imagine Skari grabbed a couple of the WTC people or whoever got involved with the Balance Dataslates. He took them back to Cormora. He staked them out over a warm fire and tickled them with a tickly stick until he got something really lovely. And then he sent them back home again. Your NID list dropped about 20, 40 points total, and all your Marine lists went up about 20 to 40 points a mixed bag. So it's good for Blood Angels. It's good for Drakari. We're seeing some good stuff for people who don't like Eldar, because a lot of the Eldar stuff got nerfed again. So those are the good things. All right, we did the good things. I promised after we did the good things, we'll talk about the bad things. What are the bad things? What do you hate about the Balance Dataslate? What makes you mad? What would you write instead? What's interesting is that Josh Roberts is now the guy who runs this, who is one of the best competitive players in the world. I know, right? Games Workshop basically bought out the ITC, WTC. All the guys who do all the tournaments are basically, who always were in bed with Games Workshop, are now working for Games Workshop. And here we are, tournament 40k. What do you hate? AdMech is just sad. Yes, AdMech is sad. I've tried. I've looked at that book a couple of times. I've tried, and it just, I can't even say I'm waiting for the AdMech Codex to come out. So there'll be some lovely ideas in there. Like most people are waiting for their codexes to come out. Hey, can't wait till I get the AdMech Codex out, because then I can finally play AdMechs, because I've already got the AdMech Codex, and it's a piece of mouldering poo on a soggy piece of bread shoved at the bottom of a Wellington boot, which has been left outside in the rain. It's stinky, it's gooey, and you wouldn't want to put your foot in it. I want narrative rules. I really want narrative rules. I want narrative rules too, Devil Lord. I want an open war deck, or a Maelstrom of War deck, or a deck that is a narrative deck, or a book that isn't Pariah Nexus or the First Tyrannic War or a Crusade thing or whatever. I want a book which is just generic narrative, like here's City Fight rules, here's Planet of Death rules, here's Apocalypse rules, and there's a couple of missions in each one, and a deck. I would have a list of weapons that under the Anvil Siege Force count as heavy weapons before the attachment applies. It would give them +1 to wound. Yeah, you could just write all over your codex instead. Remembering 9th edition, AdMechs at release at the time, we had 6 Ornithopter. Yeah, you didn't have any edition for... Yeah, there was no sympathy at the time for the AdMech when that... There was a flash. There was a 2-month flash where there was loads of Ornithopters flying around all over the place. 1-page rules, AdMech can be... Where are we? I've been looking through some historical wargame camp. Right. Redemptor's up 10. What's the bad things? Inceptors went up 20 points. I like Inceptors. Why did Inceptors go up 20 points? I like them. What are the bad things in this codex? In this data slate thing? I think one of the bad things that stood out for me is they didn't touch the Necrons. And C'tans are a problem. And C'tan will continue to be a problem. Plague Marines going up. Sucks. Yes. Whirlwind's going up 35 points. Sucks. There's only a couple of indirect fire things in that codex, and Whirlwinds is one of them, and you can tell what tournament players are taking. They're taking Whirlwinds because indirect fire, but it sucks. And I don't think the Whirlwinds are that great anyway. They're definitely not worth a 35-point upgrade. Aggressors up 10 points. That sucks because they don't have an invulnerable save, and they're pretty easy to remove for a toughness 6, 3 wound stuff. They're more expensive than... Are aggressors more expensive than Terminators now? I think they're probably more expensive than Terminators now, and they're not as good as Terminators. Eldar didn't get nerfed enough. They have... I think this is the final nail in the Eldar coffin. They've been nerfed 4 times now. Well, they've been nerfed with 3 points changes. They've been nerfed with this change, which is the 6 fate dice instead of 12 fate dice. And they've had more points changes for Wraithguard and Night Spinners in this edition. So 4 rounds of points changes. And then other factions have been increased around them. My prediction is Eldar will fall off the top list in this next 6-month period. And Necrons and Chaos Space Marines will take the top. Because one of the downsides as well is Chaos Space Marines didn't take that much of a nerf either. What did Chaos Space Marines take? Nerf-wise. Check my notes. Profane Seal is for Chaos Undivided now only. And you can reroll the wound roll. And that was about it. I like the changes to Chaos Demons, which is the number of non-battle line units with a keyword, such as Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, cannot be greater than the number of battle line units with a core word that you include. Basically, you've got to take battle line mark of Slaanesh, mark of this, mark of that. You've got to take battle line units in that for demons, more of them or equal of them that you have to take for the other stuff. And I would have liked to have seen that rule rolled out into Chaos Space Marines as well, because Chaos Space Marines are strong. 9 fate dice with Eldrad. Still good. Yeah. Chaos Space Marines got tons of nerfs. Oh, yeah, and the points, I guess. They got tons of nerfs. Chaos Space Marines did take quite a nerf. Points went up on all the metal units. Yes, sorry. Yes, good. You're a good point. They didn't take a nerf here. All their points went up. Chaos Space Marines got the bat hard. So if Chaos Space Marines got the nerf bat hard because all their points went up, then it's going to be Necrons, right? It's going to be C'tans, Hypercrypt Necrons jumping around all over the place with 3 C'tans running up the table. Probably 2. 3 is probably a bit too many. Or the Canoptic one with C'tans running up the center of the board. The guards still suck. Yep. Nurglin's a battle line though, and all Chaos Space Marines, Death Guard, Chaos Knights list are full of them. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so Chaos Space Marines got hit hard with the nerf bat. Eldar, it's not going to be Eldar though. It's not going to be Eldar. It can't be Eldar, surely? Surely. I mean, we're coming on for 9 months of this edition, and it can't be Eldar winning all the things for 9 months, can it? Can it? 9 months of Eldar supremacy? Something needs to be done about those pointy-eared bastards. Yeah, I think Necrons will be top for a while, but like often, the meta will adapt to defeat them. You're right. This is a problem with shifting the meta around so quickly, because the Necrons come to the top, and then people adapt the meta to defeat them, so the meta shifts. And then, if they'd let the meta settle for a bit longer, then Necrons get up, adapt to shift them, and then something adapts to that, and then the meta wobbles around each other. But when they change the meta every 6 months, have we truly reached equilibrium with this particular meta before the meta shifts again? Are they? It's moving too much, right? The rise of custard creams. The crusted creams are on their way back. The golden boys are on their way back. Yeah. They're going to have that 4-up against devastating wounds again. Mind you, they were doing well, and that change to devastating wounds really hurt them, and then they were doing horribly. Now they're doing well again. Basically, Custodes get a 4-up feel no pain to mortal wounds and devastating wounds. No critical wounds caused by, and that's it. See, I don't want to. Why just have feel no pain? Just move. And instead of giving them a 4-up feel no pain to mortal wounds and what they could have had as an army-wide thing is, say their army-wide thing was a 6-up feel no pain all the time to any kind of wound. Custodes, big, tough, like the old Iron Hands thing. They just had a 6-up feel no pain. That would be simpler. But no, now they've got a 4-up thing to this and to the devastating. It's just Games Workshop doing Games Workshop things. I just ordered 2 Screamers off eBay. They are dirt cheap. The points drop makes them usable. Get your Screamer Killers now. Games Workshop wants to see Screamer Killers on the table. They're from the Leviathan launch box. You can get quite a lot of the stuff from the Leviathan launch box off eBay. Screamer Killers are nice though. 10 attacks, 2-up save, high toughness. Where did you get your flat cap from? What flat cap? Big fan of the channel, thank you. Nerfed Insane Bravery to once per game. They did that last time, didn't they? It's now a once per game thing. You'd even give them a 5-up feel no pain. A 5-up feel no, because it would cause a ruckus in Death Guard circles. Yeah, take the 5-up feel no pain away from the Death Guard. Give it to the Custodes. Watch the fur fly. Death Guard players would go nuts. They did. That's how Death Guard started, wasn't it? With a 5-up feel no pain. They thought, no, that's too strong. So we're going to make them -1 damage. No, that's too strong. So now we're just going to have... What did they have to shrug off pain now? They don't have anything. They're just tougher. They're just tougher than Marines, right? Yeah, Insane Bravery was a change in the previous data slate. It's just been, yeah, a once per battle, ignore morale. Once per battle is enough. That is strong. That can win you games, that one. And being able to do it in one turn and then the next turn and then another. It's a strong one. Here's a stratagem which now allows you to ignore a phase of the game. You just pass. It's strong. What am I enjoying most round? What army am I enjoying most? Joseph Troon. What army are you enjoying most right now? That's a good question, Joseph. I'm glad you're here. You're raising the IQ of the whole thing. That's a good question. Let's answer that one. The army that I'm enjoying most right now is Necrons. And I think the reason why I enjoy that one most right now is because my Necron one, it's the newest thing, and two, I've got a very big collection of Necrons. So I can play, I can do the cryptic, I can play them in lots of different ways. And also that book, I find, has got quite a bit of internal balance to it, apart from the C'tans. It matches quite well against most other armies, apart from the C'tans. But every now and then, if you need to turn it up because someone's brought a strong list, you can just chuck in a C'tan, and that turns it up a little bit. And it's got some shenanigans with the Hypercrypt thing. It's got the other army that I'm enjoying a lot right now is the Death Guard, because again, quite a bit of good internal balance in there. They're relatively simple to play. I like armies that don't have too many overlapping layers of complexity, because then I can just enjoy the moment and see what my opponents are doing and figure out strategy. So you're not fighting rules as much. Instead, you're fighting with your opponent as much. So I like those are the two armies that I'm really enjoying playing at the moment, and it probably shows with the content. Yes. Infiltrators can be used. Blah, blah, blah. Infiltrators can use redeploys in the midboard again, which is nice. Yes. You like them because they're OP? No, it's not because they're OP. I do have two monoliths. I do only have one C'tan. They're OP when you add the C'tans. There's a nice rule change with Necrons. You can now res units when off the board. Can you? That was a CP. That was a CP that you had to pay for. Res them off the board. For where are we? Necrons. What do you mean you can res them off the board, guys? Help me with this one. Death Guard, Gene Suit, Death Guard. I should really core rules. There's nothing here about Necrons I can see. It's a stratagem in the thing, right? Any good 40k books you have read recently that you have enjoyed? Good question. Yes, that book, which we're not talking about. The End and the Death, Volume 3. Awesome. That one. But we're not talking about it here. Literally just finished it today. You struggle against Necrons with your Death Guard. Well, how many C'tans has he got? If he's got a bunch of C'tans, ask him kindly to stop bringing C'tans and try something different. And Death Guard, Plague Marines are strong, which is why we've had a points increase on the Plague Marines. So get your Plague Marines. The other thing that Death Guard can do quite well is they can actually bring a lot of high toughness, medium toughness vehicles with invulnerable saves. So, the drones, the haulers, they all come with a 5-up invulnerable save, which is quite nice. Necrons can do it as well, 4-up invulnerable save. But it's nice to have a bunch of vehicles which have got some save. So I would also recommend getting at least 3, maybe 6 of those Mephitic Blight haulers. 6 would be good. 3 is essential. 6 is better, because then you could do 3 units of 2 or 2 units of 3 if you wanted. Get at least 3 drones if you haven't got 3 drones already, and get a chunk of Plague Marines. You also need some kind of screen or some kind of... Yeah. Are any books beside The End of the Death Volume 3 that I've enjoyed? 1. Joseph, you've done it. Nice. The Lion, Steve Arnold has said it there. The Lion book was awesome. The Cypher book was awesome. I'm currently going through Gaunt's Ghosts. I was interrupted. Like, I've read Gaunt's Ghost a bunch of times, and now listening to Gaunt's Ghost for the first time on Audible. And I was up to book 3, Vervenhive, before that book came out. So Gaunt's Ghost is the other series that I'm on at the moment, which I really liked. But I can recommend The Lion. I can recommend modern books. The Great Work by Belisarius Cawl is really good. The Night Lords trilogy, Talon of Horus, Black Legion, anything Eisenhorn, Ravener, Inquisitor, all of them. Is that enough? Brutal Cunning is the best. Brutal Cunning is not the best. It's not the best. It hasn't got Space Marines in it. Or Guard. Or Inquisitors. It's got to be Loyalists. Loyalist all the way. How could you say such a thing after that book came out? How can you put something like that in the chat? This wound. I need some time for this wound to become a scar. Storm of Iron. Yeah. Yeah. So what else is good from the thing? So what were we talking about? There was a thing that popped up. Necrons. Someone said something about Necrons now can reanimate off the table. Is there something I don't know? Because I thought that was the thing in the detachment in the datasheet thing. My only wish with the Great Work is that I wanted more Belisarius doing his definitely not heretical shenanigans. Yeah, I think we're going to get more of Belisarius doing definitely not heretical shenanigans as it goes on. They've got to wind up to that, right? There's a lot coming down the pipeline. I mean, we've suddenly had a lot of Black Library authors which are not writing the Horus Heresy anymore, and they're about to unleash upon the world, upon us. Lots and lots of things. Yeah. I don't know if this breaks the rules, but if you want to hear a great audio story, check out Space Wolves versus 40k by someone. It's the best fan-made story I've ever listened to. It's simply amazing. Nice. Also, if you check out the Winter's SEO playlist, on there's a storytime playlist where you can listen to storytime videos that I made, which are probably going to be the second greatest things fan made that you'll like, maybe, hopefully. What are we talking about? What are we talking about, guys? Guys, what are we talking about? I showed you my Thanatars. Listen to Wolfsbane. Yes. I've showed my Thanatars. I did a bunch of Thalax. Doing the Thanatars, finish them off. Then with the Thanatars and with the Thalax and with the Castellax I've added to my AdMech. I've added about 1,000 points to AdMech recently. I should do another video on that. And then the Custodes up there. Need to do that. Your story times are excellent pieces of fiction. Thank you. But what are we talking about? So I've showed you my things. I showed you the things. Showed you the Thanat. Done the things. Balance Dataslate. Yes. Any more questions? Good, bad, horrible about the Balance Dataslate? I showed you my Thanatar. Please respond. Thanatar. Anything more about the Balance Dataslate? So the Drukhari have got the new thing. Chaos Space Marines points went through the roof, which sucks for them. Redemptor Dreadnoughts went up a bit more, which sucks for the Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Custodes got a helping hand because they can actually do feel no pains against devastating wounds now. Eldar got kicked in the ears one more time because their points went up for a couple of crucial units, and it's only 6 faint dice now for them. So that's a good thing. Death Guard. I was worried with the Death Guard that they were going to hurt them because the Death Guard rules about their -1 because they got the reduced toughness or the reduced armor save or the reduced ballistic skill, weapon skill. I feel like that might have hurt a bit too much and they might have touched that, but they didn't touch that. Instead, they just spammed us with Plague Marines and Mephitic Blight Haulers. No, Plague Burst Crawlers and made them more expensive. Wraith Guard can only shoot back at the unit that shot them too. Boom, that's really, really strong. Yes, because Wraith Guard, people, if you shoot Wraith Guard, they've got really nasty guns like 18-inch range and their strength 10 or strength... Their strength a bajillion, and on 6s to wound, they do critical wounds. They do devastating wounds. And you shoot them, and then they could shoot again. They had a free shooting attack. So I remember playing a game where I didn't bother shooting at them. I just moved around the edges and shot at other stuff rather than to shoot at the Wraith Guard, because I knew if I hit them, they'd shoot back, and it's a free shooting attack. And that's broken. The fact that they've changed it now so that they can only return fire to the unit that shot at them, I'm sure that's what they intended at the very start, and this is another example of poor rules writing. Because I'm sure they didn't intend, oh, they got hit and they can shoot anywhere. Oh, they got hit again. Oh, they can shoot any. Yeah, it's another example of poor rule. I'm sure the rule was as intended was if you shoot them, they can shoot you back. Anyway, we're there now, and that's very critical because their range is 18. Is it 18 inches? Hello, go for it painting. I think it's 18, Wraith Guard. Yeah. So you can stay outside the 18-inch range, shoot them, and then not get shot back by them. Because otherwise they're just getting a free shooting attack every single phase. That's going to be big, because Wraith Guard they've also went up in points. 18 inches. Yes. Thank you. So they were a very critical part of the strong Eldar list that you saw. Night Spinners in the backfield. A big chunk of Wraith Guard, or two little big chunks of Wraith Guard, the Avatar running forward, causing interference, and then you had loads of units of Striking Scorpions or not Howling Banshees, Striking Scorpions, Swooping Hawks, picking up all the secondaries and stuff. That's the list. That leaves you about 400 points left over to add different things to that list and different looks to that list if you want to, like Fugen or a couple of farces zipping around all over the place, or some Scream. But that's pretty much the list, because this edition there is one or two lists for each faction. That is the Eldar list at the moment. They needed kicking. Those bloody crazy Eldar D cannon things, yes, that's exactly it. Every time you shot them, you'd shoot them here, and there'd be a dreadnought like 8 inches away ready to charge them, and so they get hit by the shot, they go ha ha, and they blow up the dreadnought, and you're like, oh, I can't charge them anymore. The only way to fight that was just to stay away from them or not shoot them, and that meant they could just move around with impunity. So now only being able to return fire at the thing that shoot them, very good. What you can do to hurt them with impunity would be to drop indirect fire on them, but then they're toughness 7 with 3 wounds, so they're going to take a lot of shifting, but at least you can shoot them with something now. I have a question. Why can't Games Workshop actually make the model that they make rules for? The Maleceptor has been out of stock for over a year. I know, right? Yeah. What is going on at Games Workshop? There's so many stock outs. Luton did a video on it recently. I talked about it on the last live stream. I don't know what's going on at Games Workshop. I don't know if they know what's going on at Games Workshop right now. No one knows what's going on at Games Workshop. They were always tough, even in the mid-90s. I played Orcs versus Eldar all the time. I tell you what, someone at Games Workshop in the rules department has got a right boner for Eldar. They have always been good. As a generalization, there are some times where they've been terrible. Okay, but generally speaking, they've always been a strong army. Now, what do I mean by that? There have been times through the life of in the 90s, in the noughties, where Space Marines were terrible and were terrible for years. What would happen is a new edition would come out, and the poster boys of the edition, every edition, are the Space Marines. Sometimes it was Dark Angels, sometimes they got it first. So which meant at the start of the edition, hey, these guys are strong, and they could beat everyone for about 6 months until 3 or 4 other codexes came out, and then they couldn't beat. And this is back in the days where there were no balance data slates and no point upgrades. There were just facts and erratas. So you would have the Space Marines come out, their brief moment in the sun, and then the edition would last. And back then as well, the editions could last 4 or 5 years. And for 3.5 years, Space Marines sucked. And there were whole periods where Orcs sucked and other armies sucked for years and years and years and years. Eldar have sucked everyone sucked every now and then. But generally speaking, throughout every edition, from the 90s onwards, Eldar have always been strong. Changed my mind. I remember playing against Eldar, maybe in second edition, where they could pop up behind range, shoot, then pop. Yeah, second edition. Do you remember the Harlequin? It would get an extra attack for every inch that it made on the charge. You could get it up to like 20 attacks. Your Dark Angels did really suck then. Yeah, they did. I think 6th edition Dark Angels were... Remember when you got Prescience, that psychic power for the first time, and suddenly people were bringing Devastator and Landspeeder, Dark Angels, and have a Librarian there with an aura of Prescience, and suddenly everything there was rerolling hit rolls, and your Landspeeders obviously were Raven Guard, so they had the Jink mechanic and all that. They were brutal for about 9 months, 6-9 months, and then they sucked. If you could add a new 40k tabletop entity or faction, what would it be? This changes. What we need right now, because we've got crew are coming. You saw the thing? We're going to be able to field a full crew army with their new data thing coming in the new tower. That's exciting. So that's one of the things I would have said. Isn't it about time we had some more crew, some more aliens? And we're getting more aliens. We're getting crew. Great. More aliens, I would say. Even more. Let's have Exodites. Let's have Bad Mech. One of them. They've had a lot of issues in the factory. Yes, they've had a lot of issues in the factory. Anything changed for Imperial Knights? Guys, has anything changed for Imperial Knights? I don't think... Oh, lots of the points went down for Imperial Knights. I know that much. I don't think any of the core rules have been changed for Imperial Knights. The Code Chivalric changed last turn when they give out their Bondsman ability. They don't get it themselves. It only goes on the Armored. I am Kroot. It only goes on the Armiger. But I think 80% of the Imperial Knights points changes went down. So, yeah. Knights got buffed. Points went down and they can now reroll a hit and a wound. Is it a full hit and a full wound? I misread that. Oh, yeah, you can. Code Chivalric, lay the tyrant low. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, you can re-roll 1 hit roll and you can re-roll 1 rune roll. That is better. I'm glad I even underlined that bit on my notes. And I still didn't read it right for the first 3 times, so I'm pleased to... Yes, they can... Yes, Knights, they had points reduction and they can re-roll a hit and a wound, not just 1 hit or 1 wound, which is much better. That is good. Did they need it? Did Knights need it? Have you guys played against... 1's in the chat if you've played against Knights yet. 2's in the chat if you've got Knights and played with them yet. Because Knights... 1's, have you played against them? 2, have you played with Knights? Would you ever... where are we? Don't know who that is. Mesbj. 1, or is that old news? 1's if you played against them. 2's if you played with them. So we've got a couple of people who have played against and with Knights. A 1, a 2, a 1. A couple of people. A 1. Okay. So we've got 5-6 people. Maybe more. Knights. They feel a bit wonky, don't they? Either to play with or play against. Am I right? Am I wrong? Change my mind. They feel a bit wonky. They don't fit very well with the mission structure that we have right now. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 3. There's always someone. And it's always you, Epic Votan. It's always you. They don't fit. They're hard to balance at the moment, but they're doing okay. I think they're almost there. That's very conciliatory of you. It just... I guess on the secondaries, you're always picking the fixed cards for yourself on the secondaries, because you don't want to run off and do this all over the place. And when you go against Knights, you're going to pick fixed cards as well. You're going to bring it down every single time. And the other one, kill characters, assassinate probably, because every big knight is a character. So yeah, they don't. So you think they fit okay? I don't think they fit very well. If you go up against Knights, you can be steamrolled rather easily. And if you play with Knights, you feel dirty. I feel dirty. I haven't played with my Knights very much because I feel very dirty when I play with the Knights. And now they're going to re-roll a hit and re-roll a wound. And with their feel no pain. It's just, they're strong. Knights are strong. I think they're strong. They've been considered a stat check for a while. Do you have enough firepower to bring them down? Yeah, okay. But you think there's playing with... Okay. They've always been a stat check, though. Like, if you have an army, if you're going to an event and you bring along or you go into your local game store, you go into your local club, and you haven't got a list that can deal with knights, and you play knights, then you'll feel it. If you haven't got the tools to deal with knights, you'll really feel knights. But if you have got the tools to deal with knights, then you still might really feel knights. I didn't change Deathwing Knights, no. The book just came out. They're not touching Deathwing Knights yet. Deathwing Knights cost a lot of points. They're big black holes. They're 4 wounds, -1 damage. We're going to see, even though they're crazy number of points, we're going to see Deathwing Knights. Their big mace has gone down from damage 3 to damage 2. Their strength, they're fine. Deathwing Knights are in a good place. They're tankier than Blightlord Terminators. How did that happen? Higher points would allow for better knight. Yeah, playing knights at 4,000 points instead of 2,000 points is probably the way to go. And they are, yeah, I agree, Ryan. They are okay for larger games. 2K, they can't compete very well, and they just... Do they have Oath as well now or no? They don't have Oath of Moment. Oath of Moment is just for Space Marines. They have the Bondsman thing. What is it called? Code Chivalric. Lay the Tyrant Low. That's what they have. So reroll a hit and reroll a wound. I'll need to remember that if I ever go up against knights. Reroll a hit, reroll. I'm going to need to remember that one. The ones we need to remember: the 6 dice for the Eldar. Reroll a hit, reroll a wound for knights. Blood Angels, I can remember that one. Wraithguard only shooting at the unit that shoots it. I need to remember that one. See, the things like Genestealer Cults and Trakari, no one turns up here with Genestealer Cults and Trakari, so I'm never going to need to remember that one. Devastating Moons for Custodes, I'm going to need to remember that one because I've got Custodes and I'm playing against Custodes on Thursday. Please nerf Deathwing, just for the heck of it. Sincerely, the Space Wolves. Yeah, I'm a Space Wolf player. I don't like Deathwing. What's your take on Chaos Transports requiring the embarked unit to have the same mark? Yes, good. That's my take on it. Yes. Plague Marines should not get inside a Khorne Rhino. Yes. You can take marks for free. It doesn't cost you anything. So taking the same thing for the same unit, yes. What that does do in game turns is if you get your play... I mean, you didn't have to put marks on them before. You could get your Plague Marines out your Rhino, and then your Khorne Berserker, your other thing can't get in that Rhino now. Because does that mean they won't be able to get in the Rhino if they don't have the same mark? Or does that mean you have to take the mark? Can you only embark? What would that mean? A unit can only embark within or start the battlefield embarked within a transport if both of those units share the same keywords from the list above. Yeah, that makes sense to me. It makes sense in a narrative sense, but you can only embark within a transport that has the same mark. So you can't rock up with some Slaanesh guys and let them out, and then get your Khorne guys in. It will hurt Chaos players a little bit when it comes to some of the small minutiae with the gameplay, but it makes perfect narrative sense to me. Rue! Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. You are a legend. I appreciate you. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you, Rue. If anyone gets a gifted membership from Rue, can we get a round of applause for Rue? Thank you, Rue. I appreciate you. Out of all the editions and all the games that you have played, what is your favourite army in which edition? Many thanks. 5th edition and early 8th edition were best, in my opinion. My favourite army, my mind immediately goes to drop podding 13th using Salamander rules in 5th edition, and outs 13th outflanking White Scars in 6th edition was really good fun. Favourite army in which edition? 13th through all editions. 8th edition, they were really good. Thank you for the warm round of applause. Giga Chad, Rue, thank you guys for cheering Rue on. Thank you, Rue, for helping support me, helping me keep doing this. I appreciate you. Other really good Favorite army in which edition? Favorite army in which edition? I liked Death Guard at the end of 9th. They were good. I liked in 8th edition. I really liked Dark Angel's Deathwing as well. They were really strong. Transhuman physiology was completely not broken. Having a whole army which you couldn't wound on a 1-2-3, and also had a 4-up invulnerable save, and so saved everything on a 4-5-6. That was completely not broken, and it took a level of tactical genius to win a tournament with that, a GT with that. No one had done it before me. I won the GT, okay? No one did it with that list afterwards. Just me and my genius. Ignoring half of the rules. I'm happy with the grenade strat left to Death Guard, so sick of triple pure. Yes, once. Not 7 putrefiers, 1 putrefier. That's a good thing as well. Triple putrefiers and all doing the things. I missed the weapon skill from old editions. Well, if you missed old weapon skill versus weapon skill, then you should play Horus Heresy, because that is still in Horus Heresy. All the core rules that you like from the previous editions, all of them, is in Heresy. See, the old world, Warhammer Fantasy Old World, is the old world rule system with some tweaks and with some reactions in it now. It's a better version of Warhammer Fantasy the Old World. And Heresy is a better version of 7th edition. It's where 8th edition would have been if they hadn't reset everything. So if you missed that stuff, there are editions for you, and it's called Warhammer Fantasy Old World and Warhammer Horus Heresy. What I like about the current rules is there are very few things that ignore your rules. It's more mitigating against. There's very few things that ignore your rules, just mitigate against. There's two ways to write rules, and there's a good way and there's a bad way. And the bad way to write rules, or the good way to write rules, is this rule does this for you. This rule does that for you. This rule helps you save better. This rule helps you hit better. This rule helps you charge better. This rule helps you armor pen better. This rule does this. This rule does this. This is how this stuff improves your stuff. And it's even better, those rules, if your opponent has access to those sorts of rules as well. Hey, I've got that one and I've got that one. Hey, I've got lethal hits. Hey, I've got improve your stuff. Bad rules writing is ones where you're popping out rules and throwing these rules down on the table like these big thump rules that nerf your opponent's army or stops your opponent doing that. So I'm going to do this to you. Well, I've got this save. No, you haven't got that save. I've taken it away from you. When your opponent moves, saying, no, you can't move there because of this. Or your opponent lines up a charge. No, I've moved my stuff out of the way. Or your opponent says, well, I got a really big gun. I wound you on a 2, 3, 4. No, you only wound me on a 5 or 6. Rules which negatively affect your rules which negatively affect your opponent are automatically feels bad rules. Because you can be that guy and just sit there like that and wait for them to do the thing, and wait for them to roll the dice and say, yeah, it doesn't matter if you've rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't hit me anyway because of this magical piece of bullshit device I've got here. So feels bad rules are ones that affect your opponent. Feels good rules are ones that affect you. And this edition's got a lot less feels bad rules with transhuman, transhitman, those sorts of things. But they're still out there. Were Death Guard painted all green at the Siege of Terror? At the Siege of Terror, they were pretty... The ones at the Siege of Terror, because there'll still be some other Death Guard, it's Heresy, and the Galaxy is a very, very big place. There'd still be a couple of other companies out there somewhere. But the ones at the Siege of Terror, yes, they looked very much like the 40k Death Guard by the time Terror was happening. The ones at the Hollow Mountain and the ones at the Lionsgate Spaceport, the ones that we read about in the narrative are definitely, I want to say OG Plague Marines, but they weren't OG back then. One of the nice things about Warhawk by Chris Raitt is that particular book, it shows the Death Guard are still a bit uncomfortable with their gifts, and they're still not what we would know Death Guard to be in 40k. They're not all badasses at that point. There's still a transition period with them mentally, with them spiritually. So they're not as hardcore as they could be, which meant that there was a little chink in the armor that the loyalists could exploit a little bit. And I like the fact that Chris Raitt makes that clear. By the time we get to the Hollow Mount with Typhus, though, and they're on. But yeah, they were very smelly back then. Ish, says Legion. Ish. By the time they'd taken on the Destroyer Hive, yes, they were smelly. They didn't exactly, all of them didn't exactly know what they were getting involved with at that point, but you wouldn't want to stand in a room with one, put it that way. Do I think there would be an issue with a Death Guard Horus Heresy army painted in the 40k color scheme? There could be, in the fact that it isn't until the very end of the Heresy that the Destroyer Hive is unleashed upon the Legion. So you're almost exclusively... So playing Heresy games... The Heresy writes itself. If you're playing a game of Heresy against opponent X and they've got Death Guard and you've got this character and they've got Typhus, and the narrative writes itself. And so if you're playing smelly Death Guard and you're going up against Ultramarines, when did that happen? When did the smelly Plague Marines hit? You could say, well, it's just after the Heresy. It's during the Scouring. That's a way to get around it. When did the smelly Death Guard actually come toe-to-toe, with the Dark Angels? After the Heresy? So, from a narrative point of view, there's a spoke in the wheels there for me. But it's your hobby. It's your Heresy. It's your 40k. You can paint and play the game however you want to play it, and you can collect and do whatever you want. But taking that army, taking that army out against other Heresy. There'll be a couple of Heresy players at some point which will ask you questions like, well, how do we fit this into the lore? How do I fit a smelly Death Guard army up against? We can do we'll do Solar War. I've got Blood Angels. We'll do Solar War. You could make them part of the first company with Typhus, who had embraced the Destroyer Hive before them, but he kept it secret, and there weren't very many. He tried to keep it. There weren't smelly boys. I could use 40k Typhus in Heresy, as I am terrible with Heresy. Again, so Typhon in Heresy got all bloated and stuff after the things that happened in the Buried Dagger. So he's not that big and bloated until the Siege of Terror. So, for example, I got Khan. Alex says he's got Khan. He's got Khan the Bloody and Khan the Betrayer. And they're two different models. They got next door I've got Angron and Angron. I mean, Demon Primarch Angron and Angron, obviously. But there's a lot of time. There's 10,000 years between Horus Heresy and 40k. It's hard. You can justify any hobby. Okay, this is my final words on it, and no more shouting. No more. This is final words on it. You can make any justification you want for bringing any models you want into the time of the Horus Heresy. There is narrative for it, but it's a narrative justification. And if you did that well, people would, and you set down, hey, look, this is my smelly Death Guard army, and I'll tell you why I'm using them in Isfahan 3 or Isfahan 5. This is why. Here's my narrative. And told them a story of hope and betrayal and longing and painting and stuff. Then people would love it and go, oh, that's absolutely awesome. There is a way to justify anything. However, doing Heresy officially, you don't need to justify everything, because this is what they looked like at the time, and this is how they functioned at the time. These are the equipment items that they had, these are the special units that they had, is part of the reason for playing Heresy. Part of the reason for playing with Gorgon, Terminators and Immortal squads for Iron Hands is because that's what they had back then. So that's what you'd want to use. And you want to give Mechadendrite Hive on your Warlord, even though it's a 65-point upgrade with all the thing. Even though it's just crazy up, you're going to give it to him because that's the stuff they have. World Eaters can take chain axes whenever they take chain swords. So you give all your World Eaters that take chain swords, chain axes, because part of the joy of playing Heresy is finding all those unique things that were very specific for that 7-year period that those legions had access to, and playing with them and watching them sing and watching them come to life. So you can you can do whatever you want then and there, but the true meat and potatoes lies in what they actually did, I think. Typhus's base is bigger. House rules, you can house rules that you want. Haven't seen Salamanders in Horus Heresy Battle Report. I haven't faced Salamanders in Horus Heresy yet. I want to do my own Salamanders army when we do Iron Hands first, then Salamanders after Iron Hands. Because I've done Isfan 3, we're on to Isfan 5. Do you think the Horus Heresy will make way for the Scouring? I don't know. But up at the top, at the start of the live stream, people are saying like the Scouring's already been announced or rumoured or something. I think we're definitely going to get some epilogues to the Heresy is definitely going to have some epilogues, and I can see a Scouring. That isn't the end of the story. There's going to be some other stories. Is GW getting rid of Forge World? A Forge World has gone. A Forge World is gone. It is now part of just Games Workshop now. There isn't a Forge World store at Warhammer World. There are Forge World resin models around. And if you're asking, is Games Workshop getting rid of Forge World resin models? They have officially announced that they're going to be they will be cutting down on as much resin as possible and leaving it only for the big things that they can't make plastic molds for, such as Titans and Thunderhawks, oh my. So everything that is in resin will be moving to plastic over a period of time. And they've said that. Would love to, yeah, I mean, Goge Van Dyer's Rise and Fall, they could definitely do the Civil War. They could definitely do Reign of Blood. They did Macarius, didn't they? Macarius's Crusade, they did that one, or Macarius, or however you say it. They've done him. Goge Van Dyer is one of the... I think what they want to do now, though, is focus... We're going to get some Scouring books. We're going to get some Heresy prologues. And I think what they want to do is focus on the future a bit more. Like they're doing with the Dawn of Fire series and with the Beckwin trilogy, Eisenhorn versus Ravenor. That's going to have some ramifications in it. So we're going to see them use some of the Black Library authors, or ask some of the Black Library authors to pay some meaningful attention to what's happening in 40k right now. Because what's happening in 40k right now needs a good series, not just Dawn of Fire. It needs a good series to... The galaxy's been ripped in half, and we've got Primarchs coming back all over the place. And we've got a tunneling machine, which is made out of the bones of Caliban, digging new webway holes in between real space, the warp, and extant space, led by Vashtorr the Archaphane. And it's, yeah, with Tal Chukka, it's a bit crazy right now what happened at the end of the Arcs of Omen books. So something now would be nice. Are those pictures of Demon Prince Fulgrim real? Do you mean Fulgrim Transfigured? Demon Prince Fulgrim. You can buy Fulgrim Transfigured from Games Workshop. It is a resin model. And you can buy them. Thoughts on Grey Knights in 10th? A bit rubbish. Thoughts on Grey Knights in 10th is, why have they changed? Look, they've all got power weapons and they thought that was a bit OP. But Grey Knights are Space Marines. They're supposed to get in there, and they're supposed to all have power weapons, and they are supposed to be OP, and they changed them into a shooting army. They don't know what they need to do. They don't know what they want to do with Grey Knights. Way back in the day, Cybolt ammunition, Cybolt dreadnoughts, Storm Ravens coming in, deep striking in. It felt very Space Marine, but it also felt very Grey Knight-y. And then they leaned more into close combat dreadnought, and the 8th happened, and 9th happened, and close, and now I don't think they know what they want to do with Grey Knights. That's what I think. And I think Grey Knights need a nice new shiny Codex with nice new Primaris parts and a couple of nice data sheets in it, detachments in it. I was talking earlier on in the live stream, like Necrons feel like Necrons right now, and it would be nice for Grey Knights to feel like Grey Knights. Movement warfare Space Marines on acid is a bit Grey Knight-y, but it isn't all what they do, and it certainly shouldn't be the way they specialize, and they don't specialize like that in the books. So Fulgrim Transfigure was the top troll moment of 2023. Is Vashtorr cool? He's very uncool. He's not very cool at all. He's a bit of a Chad. His rules aren't great. The model looks good, but he's not cool. You wouldn't want to hang out with him. You wouldn't. Will Grey Knight Terminators get new models? Yeah, it's all the... I mean, I know nothing, but of course the Grey Knight Space Marine range needs updating, just as the Space Marine range got updated. They're gonna be getting all the new things. What they should do with Grey Knights, when they give them all the new things, is make them part of a launch edition, I think, because they will sell a lot. If they do, and they'll probably do the Space Marine thing where they'll dribble a bit out and dribble a bit out and dribble a bit out. So, for example, for Space Marines, we don't even have Assault Space Marine new Terminator sculpts yet. They started changing the Space Marine range back in the 8th edition. We're now in 11th edition, and they still haven't given us the full Space Marine range because there's gaps still that we know that they're definitely going to release, such as Primaris Biker Captain. He's not out yet. The one I just said, drop pods, flat. There's a bunch. There's gaps in that Space Marine. I mean, we just got the Assault Intercessors come out. We've got Stern Guard, but what about Vanguard with jump packs? You know, there's a couple of gaps lifting in, and it's taken them 3 editions. If they drip and feed out their Grey Knight release like that, then I would just boom. Here's the new Grey Knight range. Here's their updates. The Forge World, which circles. Is it Demos going around Titan, which is Titan, the home of the Grey Knights. They've got their own Forge World. It's one of the moons of Mars floating around it. Suddenly they had an upgrade. They downloaded the new schematics from Mars. Oh, look at all this new stuff we can print instead of that other stuff we can print. Print out all the new stuff. Give it to the Space Marines on Titan. Done. Do it in one wave. But we'll see. They'll probably drip feed it out over 3 editions again and make people really mad. Here's the new Terminators, but don't worry about the little guys yet. And then later on, here's the new little guys, but don't worry about your Dreadknights yet. You know what I mean? You need a new Space Marine Captain. I know there's not enough Space Marine Captains, right? Or Lieutenants. We need at least 7 more. Yeah. Is Vashtorr's lore cool? Vashtorr's lore is okay. It makes sense to me. So here's the lore of Vashtorr. There's 4 big Chaos Gods. Khorne is the oldest, been around longest, war. And then you have the other 4. And they're fundamental. So change, life and decay, war, excess. That's why they're the big 4, the old 4, the powerful ones. But in a future where technology, engineering, science become as much a fundamental part of existence as war, as life and decay, as change, when they become so interwoven, intermingled with the way all technologically advanced societies function, then there will come a point where a particular being would amass almost as much power or be able to rival the old four. And that's what Vashtorr is trying to do. He's a manifestation of this building energy in the warp, which represents when it's the god of technology, but bad technology, going too far, doing demon for what's that saying? Doing what you can do, not what you should do. It's the mad scientist. It is the unfettered mind. It's the intellect that doesn't have the morality that tells it to stop. And bundled all into that as well is demon forges. So the intellect that doesn't tell it to stop will say, well, here's this, and I'll put that AI in there, and that'll make that better. The AI can look after it well in the future. It's not just put AI in there, but also put some demon juice in there. Or let's put that demon in the thing, or let's mash together chaotic things along with it's that kind of mad scientist stuff. And Vashtorr's. So the ascension of Vashtorr wants to become the fifth great god. Interesting enough, if the four great gods win and we're bombed back to the Stone Age, then Vashtorr will disappear again because not a lot of technology around. So his lore is, it's good, it makes sense, it needs fleshing out. You know what I mean? Any AdMech back rep plan? No. Do Necrons need a nerf in 10th? No. They're lovely. They're perfectly fine. Vashtorr is a warp-infected shard of the Void Dragon. Changed my mind. No. Evening, Sir Plant. I'm fine. Hi, Stranger Come Knockings. I'm good. I'm good. We're not talking about it. I'm good. Yes, explanation of not only the game, but the lore as well is absolutely unrivaled. Thank you very much. Thank you. I thought that was a very Thank you, Matt. I was just making my way through it. I don't know about absolutely unrivaled, but that's Vashtorr. Vashtorr is the mad scientist, the person who goes a bit further. It's why he's about now, because Eldar, Orc, human, all global, intergalactic, planetary, as the Beastie Boys say. There's a lot of that stuff. So he wants to become the fifth Chaos God. I might be playing some Vashtorr lore due to the Cardiff event. Nice. Don't talk about. I'm not talking about it. Okay, we're not talking about it. Earlier on, we almost talked about it, but we're not talking about it anymore. I nearly did, but I didn't. In fact, thanks for coming along, because maybe you've got an intelligent question or two. Because we've discussed the new Balance Dataslate, sort of. We have not talked about that book, sort of. Long live the baby Grey Knight Carrier. The Grey Knight Baby Carrier. I love the Baby Carrier. I think it's cool. I think it makes sense narratively. I remember playing with it for years before I even heard of the term Baby Character. I came late to the party on that one for some reason, but it makes sense to me. I mean, that idea makes so much sense that they put it in the war suit. So much sense that they put it in Avatar. Yes, I have, but I'm not talking about it. Stranger Come Knocky hobbies. We're not talking about it. I even asked the chat earlier on, when do we want to talk about it? In a week's time? After that, when do we want it to? And no one was able to take a punt at it and say, look, talk about it here or here or here. No one. But I will talk about it at some point, but not today. Anyway, we've been chatting for a while. I think I need to wrap it up. Sultan, I'm just here to say that Custodes are finally fixed against devastating wounds, and I'm delighted after a double tabling on my last two games. Sultan plays. Welcome to the chat. He's happy that his Custodes work again. About a week. Okay, thanks. I'll chat about it in a week. When will they release the book in softcover? About 3 months, 4 months, probably. Yeah, the Grey Knight Baby Carrier needs redesign and update. The whole Grey Knight range could do with a refresh. It's nice to see that Custodes are back. Sultan's very happy because I'm going around to see him on Thursday, and we're going to be playing a game, not filming it, just going around Sultan's house. And, yeah, play some Custodes. And no idea what I'm bringing yet. Obviously nothing with devastating wounds. We'll see how we get on. Grey Knight Terminators must be coming soon. Grey Knight range looks a bit janky now compared to the remaining Space Marine reigns. So it's just a matter of time before they smash that one out, I'm sure. And Richard thinks Drukhari will be getting nerfed at the next data slate. You think that the plus to the Drukhari in this one is so sufficient, so significant that have they done it again where they've over buffed it, so the next one they'll need to under buff? You know what I mean? That seems very Games Workshop, right? When they fix something but overcorrect, and then the next one, yeah, we'll see. We're going to see any more battle reports with Sultan. They are my favourite. Ah, Sultan, they're a favourite. I did a Space Hulk one with him, which I need to release. There is less battle reports with Sultan at the moment because he's a very busy man. But there'll always be battle reports with Sultan, I think, so long as he doesn't kill me. Yeah. Overbuffed. Do you think they're overbuffed? That's very Games Workshop. Anyway, thanks for coming along, Joseph June. Going to watch Raven Guard versus World Eaters Horus Heresy while you're painting NIDS. That's a really good one. And I'm going to draw this chat to a close. Thanks to everyone coming around, stopping by. It's mad, this. Catching up. We have the Old World Battle Reports. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. We've done some Old World Battle Reports. We've got some with Sultan Plays. We've got the Space Hulk one that I did with Sultan Plays. Raid Valrak. Valrak doesn't need a raid, but if anyone wants to go and raid Valrak, you can go and raid Valrak. Channel volume is very low compared to ad volume. Got a little shock there. Channel volume is very low compared to... We talked about this at the start, okay? I did the things over... Can you guys... Can we do this while I'm at it? So this one... Does this make it louder? Yes or no? Yes. Is this louder? Yes or the same? Louder or same? Louder or same? Let me know. Is this louder or same? Is this quieter? Same. It's same. Okay. Because I've got dials on the side of this. And that says microphone. And that says... So I turn that and it doesn't increase the volume. I look down there at my volume and my volume bars on that thing are bouncing way over green and into yellow. What do you mean neither of them are volume for chat, Sultan? Most of the mic settings are for you. But look, this is a mic. That's a volume setting. You think you'd turn it that way onto volume and it'd make the volume go up. Their volume for you. Why do I need volume on a mic? I don't need volume on a mic. I'm not listening to the mic. The mic needs to take my volume, put it down the thing into the tubes, into the thing, and make the thing volume, not my volume. We'll talk another time. I have the same mic. Thank you, Sultan. It's for headphones. No. The one below has got headphones on, and I know what that one does. When I plug my headphones in the thing, that makes the thing on my headphones. Okay, the headphones one does the volume on my headphones. The mic one should do the volume on the mic. And earlier on in the stream, we talked about the volume with everyone, and everyone said it was a bit loud, so I put my face closer to it, and I lifted my microphone up, and I put it on a Scorpius battle tank. And that seemed to fix the thing. But on the thing down here, it says everything's okay. The other is for your talkback. What is even talkback? I don't know what talkback is. This is why you should be there, Sultan. It would be easier if you were here, that we did a live stream together at some point. So when you're recording, you can pan between the computer and your voice. I don't know what that means. You just have to shout as loud as... I can't shout as loud as possible because that upsets the pussycat look. See? Pretty cat. You okay? Yeah? He's a good boy. Blinky. You a good blinky boy? So I can't shout as much as possible because he gets upset. So I think what we've come to understand here, chat, is that when I do these live streams, you just have to put up with a really crappy sound. Okay? It's a not me, it's you situation. I'm doing the best I can. I twiddled these and it doesn't change anything. I'm having Sultan explaining over text is improbable. Pardon? Yeah, see, so explaining over text is improbable, but I've got this going on here. I've got this going on here. All the things down. It's just a thing, okay? It's not you, it's me. No, it's not me, it's you. You've got volume as well up your end, okay? All of you out there, up your end, you can make it go up by pressing the thing and it goes up, right? And if you press the other thing, it goes down. So you can make it go up your end, you can make it go down your end. You can make it go up your end, you can make it go down your end. It's entirely up to you. If you play with it a lot, you can make it go up and down a lot. You're allowed to do that in the comfort of your own home. Play with your thingies as much as you like playing with your thingies to make it go up and down as much as you want to. And on that note, happy wargaming.